Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Crimewatch. Alright, I've had so many stories sent to me the last week. I've tried to diversify my content because, frankly, if I covered even a handful of the absolutely mental stories that you lot send me, my channel would simply be 24/7 dusky foreign chaps violating people in the UK. Essentially, it'd be Crimewatch, and we all know why they got rid of Crimewatch in the first place. No, it wasn't because Jill Dando got slotted on a doorstep, probably by a foreign gangster, that's the theory. No, it's because they noticed a disturbing trend about criminals in the UK, and that's that they all looked a certain way. So obviously the BBC had to stop doing Crimewatch. Therefore, I've decided from now on, I'll avoid the trifling, mass murder, wanton slaughter and industrial scale surprise sexing of British children, and we'll just cover it every Friday. We'll do a real-time weekly Crimewatch summary, shall we? Live from this shoddily composed BBC Crimewatch studio. We'll cover them. I've got about 7 good ones that I've seen over the last few days. Some of them are genuinely staggering. These are the type of things that the left claim are fictions concocted by the right because as if in 2025, a glance out your window will tell you that we don't need to make any of this stuff up. It's all happening daily because the homogenous, pleasant, open society that we used to enjoy is extinct and we are awash with the detritus of society from all 4 corners of the globe. So, on the bright side, at least there's always plenty to talk about. Full disclosure, this is a comedy channel, so I'll try and keep things light. However, if you physically cannot bring yourself to raise a smile, safe in the knowledge that the denizens of the UK are now living in a weird police state where everything is policed except crime. Yeah, they'll send the rozzers round your house and kick your front door in if you say something impolite on Twitter. But if you're an Egyptian kiddie fiddler, fair game, innit? The woke sociopaths running the world these days are apparently basically the same politically as, a 1970s judge who would tell a young woman who got one donkeyed into her by a Somalian fella in an alley. Well, it's your own fault because you were wearing a short skirt, sugar tits, so stop dripping. This is where we're at. It's mental. The coppers spend more time policing tweets than they do policing streets. So I'm going to start doing a weekly roundup on Fridays where we'll just pick 7. 7 of the most appalling stories from the last week. Hold on to your hats. I'm sure it's not going to be that funny, to be honest, but I'll do my best.
You don't know the way.
Yes, do you know the way?
You have to have Ebola to know the way.
Right, first one's a beauty. You couldn't make this up. Honestly, it's mental. People running the UK are absolutely tonto. The Egyptian illegal migrant who surprise sexed a young woman in Hyde Park while living in the Hilton is apparently already a convicted wielder of the hissing backpack of death. Yeah, already. He started early and he was already on about 10 most wanted lists before he even rocked up and got put in a 5-star accommodation in the UK. It says right here, the Daily Mail can reveal that the Egyptian asylum seeker... Also, how can you be an Egyptian asylum seeker? Egypt's not at war with anyone, is it? Apparently, Abdelrahman Adnan Abulhawalawi was found guilty in his absence of being part of a bomb-making cell in Egypt and was given a 7-year jail sentence because he and 6 other men were manufacturing explosives. He was also a member of the radical Snack Bar Brotherhood. So rather than deal with his crimes, he just moved to the UK in April 2023 and was housed in taxpayer-funded hotel accommodation while his application was considered. Why was it considered? If the bloke likes blowing up post offices, why was it considered in the first place? Why don't the army just deal with these people and take them for free helicopter rides, doing you, me, Egypt, the UK, and the planet Earth a favour? Simple solution, surely. Apparently, Home Office officials spent 17 months pondering over whether or not making explosives is a good thing. And while they were deep in contemplation, he horsed one into a young woman in a park and was jailed for 8.5 years on Tuesday. So he'll be out in 4. Nice one. Story says he's believed to have lived for periods in Malaysia and Sudan and then Turkey. So basically everywhere else threw him out, but we, being the suckers of the world, took him in. Again, whoever allows these people to stay should be prosecuted. There's a woman in the UK who now has a severe limp and a minge like a gutted fireplace because the Home Office is filled with radical activists who will not deport the scum of humanity. That's about the size of this one. Unbelievable. Here's a good one from GB News. Albanian criminal allowed to stay in Britain to save his sex life. Yep. The British government is basically lubing them up and guiding them in. Well, are we going to send civil servants around his house to wank him off before he settles into the marital bed for the evening? What is this madness? A drug dealer from Albania initially secured permission to remain in Britain after an immigration judge said his marriage would suffer without physical intimacy if he faced deportation. Well, that's bollocks. I'm sure half the country is packed with married men who never get the leg over, and they're still married. You can make it work. 3 cold showers a day. Easy. The first tier tribunal ruled that Roland Max Traxi's relationship with his Portuguese wife would dwindle away and go cold if they were separated, meeting the threshold for compelling circumstances that override deportation orders. So again, we've talked about this before. I'm sick of talking about it. The activist, commie lawyers and the judges and the politicians have stitched it up so nobody can get deported. Nobody can get deported. If simply telling them that you won't get the chance to roger your missus very regularly if you get deported is enough to provide compelling circumstances that override deportation orders for terrorists and drug dealers and murderers and kiddie fiddlers, nobody gets deported. Everyone on the planet can come up with an excuse. Oh, my son likes chicken nuggets. Oh, I bought a cat. Oh, I haven't shagged my missus in 2 weeks. You can say anything, and it therefore prevents your deportation. So nobody's getting deported. This won't get fixed until 20 million Englishmen snap and basically turn the UK to Mega City 1. Yeah. Until judges are driving round the streets on peculiar motorcycles with machine guns attached to them. This problem's not getting fixed. So that's amazing. Albanians. These blokes are just a pain up the arse everywhere they go. And again, it's not a war-torn country. If people go there on a holiday, why are they letting them stay in the UK? I don't get it. You might as well claim asylum in the UK from Oslo or Madrid. What's the crack with that? It's Albania, not Angola. I mean, I don't think we should be taking them in from Angola, but at least they've got a mild excuse if their entire family got nailed to a tree and necklaced by Boko Haram. Jesus Christ, this is ludicrous. Moving on, a predator posing as a good Samaritan sexually assaulted a drunk lost stranger in dark Wallsend Park. Good Samaritan. I used to sing Good Samaritan on hymn practice every Friday when I was a kid. And at no point did the lyrics involve a bloke called Khaled bend the Samaritan over a rock and then smash his back doors in while no one was looking. This is a new parable that I didn't learn in Bible studies. Apparently, Khaled of Wallsend, yeah, he's definitely from Wallsend. He's as English as Charles Darwin, God bless him. There he is, baldy, geggy sex offender. He'll fit right in Wallsend these days. A drunk lost woman was lured to a secluded park and assaulted by a predator. The victim in her 20s had been out in Wallsend when she became separated from her friends. Yeah, the moral of the story there, ladies and gentlemen, is in 2025, if you nip out for a pint in England, either go out with a mob, 10 plus 1, chain yourself to your friends so you don't lose them, and wear a chastity belt, or at the very least, a pair of those big, thick, rubber incontinence knickers that pensioners wear, just to make it slightly harder for the millions and millions of deranged sex pests that the Home Office has imported in the last 2 decades. Okay? That's the only good advice I can give you. Or, learn Kung Fu or something. Newcastle Crown Court heard she'd been turned the wrong way when she left the last bar, and then obviously Khalad Ibrahim pulled her into a park, grabbed her boobs, and stuffed her hands down the front of his kecks. Good Samaritan. Yeah. Definitely a splendid fellow. I am so glad we imported this low IQ, high sex drive, geggy migrant to spread the love. Marvellous. Here's a comical one from the northeast. Man arrested after stabbing at Flamingo Land Resort. You'll all remember Flamingo Land if you're from the north. Possibly the worst theme park in the developed world. They don't have any flamingos because they're expensive. I think there's about 24 ducks that they got the janitor to spray paint pink, and that's how they got the name. There's also a polar bear that looks to be about 190 years old, has a smoker's cough, and is followed around its enclosure by a drip on wheels. Because they've been keeping it alive by unholy means just to improve the gate receipts. Yeah, it's absolutely knackered. It's the only zoo I've been to, I use that word lightly, where the zookeepers encourage the teenage chavs to throw bricks and cans and bottles at the animals, just to goad them into doing something useful. The polar bear's arthritic. So there you go, Flamingo Land. However, as bad as it was, in all the years I went there loads of times in a caravan with my nana when I was in Nipper. Nobody ever got stabbed. No, it was full of drunk chavs who'd let the kids wander around the park while they got pissed in the pub in the woods. But at no point did anyone get stabbed. I'm also suspicious of this one because, as Dean O'Bain rightly pointed out, the story's very light on details and simply says a 22-year-old man's been arrested. No mention of his ethnicity, which they love doing if he's a pasty ginger from Durham. And the comments are switched off. So I'm going to put this in the slightly suspect foreign diddler pile. Thanks very much, lads. What else have we got? Here's a good one from the BBC. Knife attacker caught using facial recognition. It is amazing facial recognition. It's amazing technology. Let me show you the image that it's somehow used to find this faceless stranger. Yeah, he could have vanished like a thief in the night, but fortunately, thanks to new technology, this bloke with his face contorted into a snarl of hate, they found him. Obviously, he's a Welsh choir boy, and obviously he was treated with kid gloves, because who couldn't love a face like that? Yeah. Warms your cockles seeing that picture, doesn't it? What a splendid fellow. Jalen Denny stabbed the ever-loving shit out of someone, was charged with attempted murder, so, you'd think that would be serious. In a country that was serious, that crime would be serious, but obviously it wasn't, because it's only attempted murder. It's not that big of a deal, is it, attempted murder? Clearly not, because Mr. Denny will be out in, two and a half years? Yeah, brilliant. So you're giving him 3 squares for the next 2 years, and then he'll come out and he'll do it again. And again, and next time he probably will kill someone, and the judges and the lawyers and the politicians will go, who could have foreseen this? Nobody could have foreseen this. Clearly, it's not our fault. Yeah, it is your fault. And I live and pray for the day when the British public take back control from the vermin that run the nation. And not only Mr. Denny, but a few dozen lawyers, judges, activists and politicians are all stuffed in the same 6x6 cell. I want them in a prison cell that very closely resembles the Black Hole of Calcutta. And hopefully someone like Mr. Denny will get up close and personal with the androgynous android that's currently running the omni-shambles that we call the United Kingdom. Right, how many was that? 6, right? Here's the last one then. This is from Ripped, which is a sort of independent Irish news channel. Once again, it's from a nation that's now synonymous with being a massive pain in the arse, no matter where they turn up. A prolific Romanian thief who targeted victims in several European countries, but has avoided being given another conviction after stealing again from Lidl in Talbot Street, Dublin, on the 2nd of May. Levers Zinker of No Fixed Aboard. Yep, I'm definitely a worthwhile addition to the Irish people. Was ordered to pay a fine and was let off. Basically, yeah, just let him off. Because if you pay the fine, then you don't receive a conviction. So ta-da, the crime statistics are marvellous. Yeah, nice and low, so they can keep on importing people like Levers Zinker, who is about as much use as a nun's tits and costs the Irish taxpayers hundreds of thousands of pounds every year, because they're feeding him and they're clothing him and they're housing him and they're paying for the counselling of the people that he violates in the next 12 months. So yeah, brilliant, love that. Mr. Zinker, I salute you for having the neck of 1,000 giraffes and taking the piss out of the Irish far better than a chippy Englishman ever could. So well done. Hope you enjoyed that quick run through of the collection of degenerates currently accosting people in the UK while the politicians do nothing about it. Other than eat and do a lot of drink and drugs and bill you for it all. So yeah, good that, innit? They used to always end Crimewatch with the phrase, don't have nightmares. No, have nightmares. You are living in one. You're living in an endless nightmare where surprise sex enthusiasts and diddlers have far more protection from the police than you do. And we'll end with this because this is the cherry on top. I just saw this on Twitter today. An American cancer patient and Trump supporter was confronted by British police and told to apologise for her online posts. Deborah Anderson, a mother of two, was visited in her home by a Thames Valley Rosa, and he said someone had lodged a complaint about a social media post. He said he was there to get her to apologise to the person who was offended, and if she refused, she'd be questioned down at the station. What was her crime? The policeman wouldn't tell her. Yeah, like YouTube when you annoy them. They won't tell you why they're banning you, they just do it. Was it her passionate support of President Trump and the MAGA movement? To make it worse, Deborah's in the midst of cancer treatment, including chemotherapy. Yeah, but you did say something that someone was a little bit offended by. Sorry, a radical activist was offended by. So who cares about your chemotherapy? Shut up and get in the box. Thames Valley Police were responsible for guarding President Trump this week. What would they make of knowing about the same officers visiting the homes of his supporters and threatening them with arrest? And they've obviously put the video up of some dirty, horrible, oily, slimy, lying sack of rats copper accosting this innocent victim in a home because, as we talked about earlier, the Egyptian that is prone to exploding is welcomed into the UK, but the American citizen who's recovering from a debilitating illness is treated with contempt and scorn by the police state. So this is where we are. All of those stories I've covered are true. All of them are foreigners, and the British police are doing nothing about any of them because they're too busy worrying about American women tweeting things in support of the Orange Oracle, and they don't like it very much. It's mental. It's absolutely mental, but it's not news to anybody who watches this channel. I'm just trying to stoke the coals a bit before you drink yourself into sweet oblivion for the weekend. All right? If you disagree with any of the things, you think it's all propaganda and lies and there's no problem in the UK, definitely not. Every time you look out your window, you don't see legions of Somalian pirates wielding machetes and sticking their hands down little girls' drawers. Please let me know in the comments down below, all right? I wish I inhabited an alternative reality like you do. All right, thanks for tuning in. Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves. I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. I'll see you all there. Be there or be square. Toodle pip. Cheers. See you later.